What if I told you that one of the world's oldest stories about becoming rich begins with a dead rat? Not gold. Not land. Not a wealthy family. A dead rat lying in the street. One poor young man saw it. And while everyone else saw something worthless, he saw an opportunity. Within just a few months, that young man would build a fortune. But the real secret wasn't the dead rat. It was what he did with it. This is the ancient story of the man who started with almost nothing and learned how to turn opportunity into wealth. The dead rat that made a man rich. An ancient Jataka tale about opportunity, resourcefulness, and wealth. Pull up a mat. The fire is lit. I'm the Hearth Teller, and you're welcome here. Long ago, in the ancient kingdom of Kasi, there stood the great city of Benares. It was a city filled with merchants, craftsmen, farmers, and traders. Wealth flowed through its markets. Ships arrived at its ports. Traders crossed its roads carrying valuable goods. And among the people of Benares lived a man known for his extraordinary wisdom. His name was Chola Seti. He was a wealthy merchant and a man of great intelligence. But one day, on his way to the royal palace, Chola Seti noticed something lying beside the road. Something that most people would have simply walked past. It was a dead rat. Chola Seti stopped. He looked at it carefully. Then he said something that would change the life of a poor young man who happened to be listening. A person with intelligence and initiative could start a business with even this. If he knew how to use his mind, this alone could become the beginning of his fortune. And with that, Chola Seti continued on his way. But someone had heard every word. A young man stood nearby. He was poor. He had no wealth. No shop. No capital. No powerful family behind him. But he had something that money could not buy. He was willing to listen. He thought. Chola Seti is known throughout the city as a wise man. Surely he would not say such a thing without reason. So the young man did something that most people would have considered ridiculous. He picked up the dead rat. Soon, he passed a house where a cat was crying. The young man noticed the opportunity. He approached the owner of the house. "Your cat needs food," he said. "I have something it might like." He offered them the dead rat. The family happily accepted it. And in return, they gave him a small amount of money. It wasn't much. But now something had changed. The young man no longer had nothing. He had capital. Small capital. But capital nonetheless. Lesson 1, your first goal isn't to become rich. Your first goal is to turn nothing into something. With that tiny amount of money, the young man bought some sweet syrup and a small pot. Then he went to a place where flower gatherers returned from the forest. They were tired. They were thirsty. The young man offered them sweet syrup and cool water. They were grateful. And in return, they gave him flowers. The young man took those flowers to the market and sold them. The next day, he returned. He brought more sweet syrup, more water, more kindness. And once again, the flower sellers gave him flowers. He had discovered something important. He wasn't just selling things. He was solving problems. Then one day, a strong wind swept through the city. Branches fell from the trees in the royal garden. The garden was filled with dry wood. Most people saw a mess. But the young man saw inventory. He approached the gardener. "If you allow me to clear this wood, may I take it?" The gardener agreed. The young man then went to a group of children. He offered them sweet syrup and cool water. But first, he asked them for a favor. "Help me gather the fallen branches." The children happily agreed. Soon, the garden was clean. And a huge pile of firewood stood near the gate. Just then, a royal potter came looking for firewood. He needed fuel to make pots for the royal household. And he found exactly what he needed. The potter bought the entire pile. The young man's small business had grown again. Lesson 2, wealth often begins by seeing value where others see waste. With his growing capital, the young man bought larger pots. He placed water near the city gate. Whenever tired workers and merchants passed by, he offered them water and sweet syrup. Among them were hundreds of grass sellers. They became his friends. One day, they asked him, "Friend, you have helped us many times. How can we help you?" The young man replied, "I may need your help one day. When that day comes, I will ask." He wasn't collecting friends for personal gain. He was building relationships by creating value. And one day, those relationships became his greatest asset. One of his friends came to him with important news. A horse merchant was arriving in Benares. 500 horses. And the horses would need food. The young man immediately saw the opportunity. He went to his friends, the grass sellers. "Today, I need one bundle of grass from each of you. And I ask you not to sell your grass until mine has been sold." Because of the trust he had built, they agreed. Suddenly, the entire city's supply of grass was effectively under his control. The horse merchant searched everywhere. But there was no grass available. Except the grass owned by the young man. The merchant had no choice. He paid him 1,000 coins for it. Lesson 3, information becomes valuable when you act on it before everyone else does. But the young man wasn't finished. A few days later, another friend brought him news. A great merchant ship had arrived at the port. This time, the young man made a bold decision. He spent some of his money to rent an impressive carriage. He dressed like a wealthy merchant. He went to the harbor with an entourage. And he gave a beautiful ring to the ship's captain. Then he sat in a place of honor. Soon, merchants from Benares arrived. They wanted to buy the ship's goods. But the young man's men approached them. "You are too late. A great merchant has already arrived. He has already paid advances for the goods." The merchants were worried. They could not afford to miss the opportunity. One by one, they approached the young man. Each paid him 1,000 coins. In return, he allowed them to buy the goods from the ship. The young man had created a business opportunity. Without owning the ship. Without owning the goods. Without manufacturing anything. He had simply connected buyers with opportunity. From this single transaction, the young man made another 2,000 coins. And now, he remembered the person who had started it all. Chola Seti. The wise man who had said, "A person with intelligence and initiative could start with even a dead rat." The young man took half of his earnings, 1,000 coins, and went to see him. Chola Set looked at the young man. "Why have you brought me so much money? I don't even know who you are." The young man smiled. "For months ago, I was a poor man. Then one day, I heard you say that a person with intelligence could begin with even a dead rat. I believed your words. So I picked up that dead rat. That dead rat was the first step toward everything I have today." Chola Seti was amazed. He realized that this was no ordinary young man. He had intelligence, initiative, courage, and the ability to see opportunity. So Chola Set gave him his daughter in marriage. And the young man eventually inherited the great wealth of the merchant family. And so, the man who began with a dead rat became a wealthy man. But perhaps the story was never really about the rat. It was about the mind of the person who saw it. Another person might have seen something disgusting. He saw a transaction. Another person saw fallen branches. He saw fuel. Another person saw tired travelers. He saw thirsty customers. Another person saw 500 horses. He saw a shortage. Another person saw a ship arriving at the harbor. He saw an opportunity. And that is the real lesson. Wealth doesn't always begin with money. Sometimes it begins with observation. Sometimes with a relationship. Sometimes with information. Sometimes with courage. And sometimes with something everyone else has decided is worthless. Lesson 1, start small. You don't need a huge investment to begin. The young man started with almost nothing. Don't wait until you have enough money. Start with what you have. Lesson 2, look for problems. He helped a family with a hungry cat, tired flower gatherers, a gardener with fallen branches, thirsty travelers, a horse merchant needing grass, merchants looking for goods. Money often flows toward people who solve problems. Lesson 3, build relationships. His kindness to people created trust. That trust later became valuable. Your network can become an invisible form of capital. Lesson 4, information has value. He learned about the fallen wood, the horse merchant, the ship. He acted before everyone else. Information is valuable only when you act on it. Lesson 5, don't despise small beginnings. The dead rat was tiny. The first payment was tiny. The first business was tiny. But the thinking was big. A small beginning does not mean a small future. So, if you ever find yourself thinking, I don't have enough money to start, remember the man who started with a dead rat. Because sometimes, the difference between poverty and opportunity isn't what you have. It's what you can see. If you enjoyed this ancient story and its lessons about life, money and wisdom, subscribe to the Hearth Teller. There are many more forgotten stories waiting to be told. Until then, keep the embers burning. I'm the Hearth Teller. Go well, my friend.